Good evening, YouTube. So I spent the night last night there in Colorado at that scenic pullout. Turned out I was probably about, 19 or 20 miles east of Vail. And so it got, according to my phone widget, it got down to about 9 degrees overnight. So this truck is equipped with automatic stop-start, even though I have a fuel-fired heater. And so the truck it will periodically start up. When it gets that cold, it will start up to kind of maintain at least a minimum engine temperature. And it'll also start up if the battery drops to a certain point, the battery level. But that wasn't the issue last night. It was just cold. And so tonight I have stopped, there's a kind of a truck pull-off area. I'm in Nevada, probably about 60, I'd guess about 60 miles or so from Las Vegas. And so it's probably, I don't know, maybe 7 miles or so from the town of Mesquite, Nevada. Mesquite is just, right after you cross the line on Interstate 15 coming from the north. You're actually coming through a little corner of Arizona. You cross into Nevada, and there's Mesquite, Nevada. And so this rest area is probably, it's not really a rest area. It's a truck parking area. Pretty good sized. It's about 7 miles or so. So anyway, it's 80 degrees here this evening, although the air is very dry, I will say that. I've been toying with the idea of extra lenses for this phone. I'd say probably for the majority of smartphones, there are lenses that you can get that they have various ways of attaching them to the back of the phone. I think probably the best way would be, and these things are they're fairly inexpensive. From the very cheap to, I've seen some that, that are pretty highly rated for about $60 or a little less than $60, available through Amazon, Amazon Prime. And then the cheap ones are like just under $10, 9 something. And so, but the ones I'm interested in actually come with a phone case that you just it would be very similar to this case that I have for the phone right now, for the Note 3. The phone just kind of snaps into it. So you snap the phone into this case, and then when you want to attach the lens, you simply screw it into the case. And so then you have this, these different lenses. It comes with usually, depending on what you buy, it can be 3 or 4 different lenses, a telephoto lens and a macro lens and a fisheye lens and so on and so forth. And so that could be very interesting. Now, of course, when you do that, especially with a telephoto, you'd probably, they even come with a little tripod, and the tripod actually mounts to the telephoto lens itself. It looks like from the pictures on Amazon, it looks like the telephoto lens is probably about 4 inches long, and so you screw the tripod, the little tripod that comes with it, into the bottom, and then the phone, everything's just kind of balanced there, and then the tripod holds up the lens and the phone, and that way you could, depending on how you did it, you could get some interesting shots. And there are also some fairly sophisticated camera apps that you can get. There's this one that I found that I'm experimenting with, the so-called light version of it. It's, what is it, AV4F or something? It's something like that. It's like initials and numbers. And it gives you complete control over all of the parameters. Normally these phone apps, like, of course I'm recording right now with the one that came packaged with Samsung. It's the Samsung camera app, and I'm recording with it right now using the front camera and on the phone. And so they usually they kind of limit what they allow you to do as far as custom settings. And so you can get apps, and as I say, I'm experimenting with this one app that gives you complete control over things like shutter speed and aperture. It will allow you to actually take night shots, kind of leaving the lens open. You can, specify how long you want to leave it open. Now, of course, when you do that, you want to have it mounted on a tripod, because you cannot, unless you've got it really braced against something, you cannot hold it still enough to, it's impossible for you to hold it still enough in order to leave the thing open for so many seconds without you're gonna if you have lights in the picture, you're gonna end up with streaks. And so it would be interesting to experiment taking especially night photography, night shots, night photography with the phone that way, because then you can end up with some interesting, depending on where you're taking the picture at, you can end up with some interesting like the car lights, truck lights kind of streaking by, forming a streak on, streaked image. And depending on, I don't know how well it would work, but it would be also possible potentially to take a picture of the night sky. That's possible. I've done it plenty of times with other cameras. The DSLR, the Nikon DSLR that I don't bring with me anymore, it's at home because I wasn't using it, so I decided I would just leave it at home. I've a number of times I've mounted it on a tripod, and then using the night mode, take pictures of the night sky, and you can actually get some pretty decent pictures of stars. So it would be interesting to see how far, with the right software and a little bit of extra equipment, how far it would be possible to sort of push the camera in this phone. So that's something, I probably may go ahead and order that, the thing for, it's like 57 something, and it would be a nice little addition to play with a little bit. And of course you can say, well, why don't you just get a point and shoot, or why don't you just bring your DSLR along? Well, you have this whole bag full of stuff. It's more fun. I think there's more fun to be had usually in trying to extend. If you have a gadget, if you can sort of hack at it and extend what it's able to do, that is often more fun than having something that's super duper and really complicated, and you've got to go jump through a lot of hoops in order to make that thing work. And I don't know, you have a big camera or a big microphone and you attract a lot of attention, whereas people are just, nowadays there's so many people with smartphones, people ignore you. You can be playing with it, you can be taking pictures, you can be doing all kinds of things, and people ignore you because everybody's playing with their smartphones. So it's kind of a psychological thing. So, but I think it would be fun to see how far I could push this thing. So probably we'll go ahead and order one of those lens kits at some point, and I'm not expecting superb quality, but again, it could be fun just to kind of see what I can make this thing do. So in any case, from a truck parking area along Interstate 15, about 7 miles to the south of Mesquite, Nevada, I'll catch you later.